Hi guys, welcome back to another video. In this video we are going to talk all about fall accessories and how you can make the most of your accessories, how you can style them in unique ways, some of my tips and tricks of how I like to make the most out of what I have already. So we'll get into jewelry, we'll get into scarves and how you can drape them, headwear, glasses, just all the different unique ways that you can use your accessories for fall. I also want to say thank you so much for the comments and the feedback on my fashion playlist video. I am so happy that a lot of you guys liked it, so that's something that I will continue to do. We'll have volume 2 coming up, and I think I want to do them in different themes, and that will tie back to like the music and the playlist that I'm doing. So I'm happy you guys enjoyed that, and be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, hype, and yeah, let's continue this journey and join our little fashion community that we're building over on YouTube. I did want to put a little disclaimer in before we get into this video because I am filming this on November 1st, which is gonna be a tough day for a lot of people currently, given everything that's going on in the world as far as the government shutdown, SNAP benefits being reversed. I do want to state this as well. If you are a content creator, regardless of your platform size, small or big, you should be speaking out about the issues that are going on in the world. You should at least be providing resources for people to check out and to look into. I definitely think that you should be mindful of the creators that you are following, because if they aren't speaking out about what's happening in the world, what's actually happening to everyday people that are actually in their community, people who are supporting them, if they're not speaking about that, if they're not providing resources, I do think you should consider who you are supporting. That's just my take. If people can put links for products they're making commission and affiliate links on, if they can, you know, low-key encourage shopping and overconsumption in their content, then they can also provide links for help regarding, you know, people who are being affected by the shutdown, SNAP benefits, or just people who are, you know, impacted by what's going on in the world. That's my opinion. That's my stance on it. I'm taking a little bit of a step back from doing hauls and shopping in general. Like, I love shopping. That's one of my hobbies. I love to doom scroll and find new things when I'm bored. I love it. Will I ever stop shopping? No, but I think this year I definitely pulled back on it. I think I am a little bit like shopping fatigued. I don't really want to keep having to always buy or find something new. Sometimes, like, you know, I just want to like use what's in my closet, and I think that's where my content may be pivoting a little bit too, especially for some of the upcoming fall content that I'm doing. Like, it's using what's in my closet now. I have a lot of stuff. I just went through my storage unit yesterday. Like, I got stuff. I think a lot of people are getting fatigued about always seeing an unboxing, seeing a haul. Like, okay, let's do something else. I would really like to know people's thoughts and feedback on that. I would be interested to know how people are kind of receiving that. Also, your thoughts on creators not speaking up in this moment. I would be also interested to know. But that's my little 2 cents. Let's get started. So for me, I will say I'm not a huge accessories person. This video will probably make me eat my words because I do have a lot. But I definitely value shoes. I definitely value actual ready-to-wear clothing more than I do jewelry and accessories. I'll just say that it's not something that I invest a lot of time and effort into looking into, and I also don't invest a lot of money in my jewelry too much, unless it's like a really special piece. But like everyday jewelry, like what I have on right now, I don't really care to invest hundreds and hundreds of dollars in. Now, I don't like my jewelry super cheap where it starts to turn green or break me out, but I don't really invest too much money into that. With that being said, I also am not the biggest fan of jewelry dupes, because I feel like that's one category when it comes to finding dupes where it gets really cheap and people can clock that it's fake very easily. But I definitely think that there's a lot of really cool jewelry out there where you don't have to spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars for it to look good. It's all about how you wear it, how you stack it, how you layer it, and, you know, it can look really refined and elevated. So first I want to start with watches. Probably the smallest category that I have, but I'm not a huge watch person. I definitely use watches for how they look. I don't use them for function or utility. I use that for my phone. Like, my phone is used for that. I definitely use watches for how they look and how they sit on my arm and how they sit with other things on my wrist. So a lot of the watches that I do have are vintage. My dad gave me a bunch of his old watches a few years ago that I had to resize and get new batteries for. And I do like the look of vintage men's watches. This one is one of my favorites. It's an old Seiko watch that I got off of eBay. I think it's from the 80s. I just thought that this band design was really cool, really pretty. There's a lot of really cool vintage watches on eBay. Also, Los Angeles Apparel, the revamped American Apparel, they have a lot of really cool vintage Casio watches for decent prices too that are really cool. I love those like super techie retro watches from like the 80s and the 90s. That's definitely like more my speed. I'm not really into like the blinged out watches anymore. That's not my thing. So now I want to move into something that's more fun, that's more exciting, more my speed, and that is the concept of having high art jewelry in your wardrobe. And when I say high art jewelry, that's that intricate, those experimental, weird, unique pieces that no one else will have. And that will really set off a lot of your more simplistic looks, especially for fall. Think really chunky turtleneck sweaters with like a really cool, heavily detailed earring. Perfect. Or even, I always advocate for a cute button down with really intricate, cool jewelry. That really sets it off. This high art jewelry concept also works well with textures. So your leathers, your fur shawls and collars and scarves, like anything that kind of encases the neck and head area. If you really have that statement piece of jewelry, it really just makes everything look so much better, so much more elevated. So I'm going to show you a few of my favorite pieces. They're a little bit more conceptual, some are a little bit more glam. So first we have this super glam moment from Area. I got these a while ago. I think I got these like, almost 4 or 5 years ago. But Area is always known for their just statement conceptual pieces, especially when it comes to a lot of their jewelry. If you know Area, you know Area. But these are a few of like their signature like crystallized earrings. A little bit more on the pricey side, but these I love to pull out in the fall winter. Something about these just screams more fall seasonal to me versus in the summer. I think in the summer I like my jewelry to be a little bit lighter. So we did a little quick change because I wanted to really emphasize how the jewelry can look with more exaggerated textural things like I was speaking about previously. And I have my Casablanca coat on to really kind of emphasize how jewelry can kind of enhance, you know, your overall look, especially from the shoulders up. So the first piece that I have is from the brand Beads by Ari. I'm not really sure if she still even has her brand, and she makes these really cool antique, almost like realism type jewelry pieces. And a lot of her jewelry also kind of emphasizes Black cultural staples, things that, you know, are related to the Black experience, which we love over here. Now this piece is one of my favorites ever. It's the coolest thing to me, I swear. It is this candelabra earring. Like, do you see this? Like, the craftsmanship and the quality of her pieces are so good. Just so good. And for these, I think these are so like intense that I usually like to wear them only on one ear because doubled is kind of like crazy. But such a cool conceptual piece. The last piece that I have is this gorgeous spoon earring in gold. And this is another one that I like to wear as a single earring. 2 is kind of too much for this one. I think another reason why this concept really works for me and why I like to use super conceptual jewelry is because a lot of times in the fall winter you are super covered up from the neck down. So this is kind of your canvas a lot of the time, especially once you start wearing coats and scarves and hats and all that stuff. So this really needs to be emphasized to really elevate your look. And so Pancanessi is one of my favorite brands to look at for just overall jewelry inspiration. I advise you to go look at their like stacking little lookbook. But I love their methodology behind stacking. So here's my little approach to it. For what I have, these ear cuffs, you can find them everywhere. And then I have my little Swarovski other ear cuffs too. So I have two examples of the stacking that I'm talking about, one in gold, one in silver, but just playing up the oddities and just different things that you have within your jewelry collection, any studs, any cuffs, just stacking them all together to see what combination, you know, looks the coolest. We can move on now to what I like to call adorning the ankle. And that is utilizing ankle jewelry even in the fall winter. And I love to do this with my socks and tights and putting that jewelry on top of that to add that little bit of interest. I think that playing with different textures for your socks when it comes to maybe doing a tulle sock or a sock that's heavily embroidered, just something with a little bit of a more elevated touch, can really help your shoe choices as well as creating a better look. As you saw with the gold set, those are just simple gold anklets that I just stacked and layered. Love to do them on top of like colored socks. Black socks are fine, white socks are fine, and they look so cool to me with like loafers or slides. But if you get a cute loafer and then stack your anklets on top of your sock. And for the silver set, this is a bit more extra, but just to give you an idea of things that I like to do, little experimentations. I like it better on the ankle. Something about it is really cool, and I love the chunky silver stacking here. It just looks cool. And then I have a simple silver anklet here. But these are different ways you can play around with the jewelry that you already have, putting them in different spots, just experimenting, seeing what you can do, playing with color, playing with texture, just to add some additional interest to your footwear and your jewelry. So I love any type of tulle or furry little sock, especially for the holiday season, especially for fall. It's so cute. They make these in any color you could imagine. And I love this style of sock with a pump, especially these calfskin leopard Manolos. They look so cute. And when it comes to my style, I am so into juxtaposition and just playing up the unexpected, especially with like a distressed denim with something more formal with the textured sock, and then the pump. Like you wouldn't expect to pair distressed denim with something more elevated like the shoe and sock combo. This is definitely a cue that I've taken from, of course, everybody's style icon, but Rihanna does this a lot in a lot of her shoes and her accessories. Like she just plays up the unexpected. So definitely taking cues from her with something like this. So stacking belts is one of the easiest ways to add interest to a super basic outfit. As you see, for example, white tee, black pants, but I doubled up these belts. They are two completely different makes and styles of belts. One is more for the waist, one is your normal everyday like pant belt. But just even stacking them, adding that difference does just add a little bit of interest. They both have the gold hardware, so it does align, but I think this is a really cool way to just elevate basic outfits. Even with the belts that you do have, just play around with different finishes, hardware, colors. Even if I did like gold and silver, that would be cool. Our next category is jewelry stacking, specifically on the wrist, and how that can affect some of the draping on your sweaters, your sweatshirts, your hoodies, all of your tops. I have this super exaggerated, voluminous, dolman, oversized hoodie, and the sleeves are massive, but I wanted to showcase how your jewelry can kind of act as a additional cuff, or almost like a cuff stopper to really balloon out your sleeves. If you stack your jewelry up the arm, if you stack them correctly, they can add as that extra element to kind of create this shape with your sleeves for pretty much any silhouette. So I could use this method when it comes to shirting. I could use it with some of my other hoodies and tops. I love this look. It looks elevated, it looks editorial, it looks like you really put a lot of time and effort and thought into how you styled it, how you created shape, but in reality it's literally just stacking and stacking and stacking and stacking jewelry, which we love over here. So here we have the same sort of gathered stacking technique with gloves, and these are super high elbow length gloves, but you can scrunch them like we discussed previously and create that balloon shape with your sleeves, as well as kind of accessorizing your gloves to add some jewelry. Same exact jewelry, just over the glove. Really adds that old school vintage formal look. Let's talk about scarves and how they can be utilized to really emphasize the neck area when it comes to our jackets and our coats. I'm talking more about using it as an ascot detail and kind of tucking it in some of your outerwear and your tops. So I just put on my brown Rude canvas jacket to kind of tie in all of the browns and the neutrals for this bandana, to kind of show you what I mean by using a scarf or a bandana for an ascot. To elevate the styling and make it a little bit more editorial. I also do love how the browns are different tones. One is darker, one is lighter, but it still all kind of works together. So I wanted to show you guys how it could look more casual, definitely more on the athletic leaning side. And I have this nylon puffer from RL and a satin scarf that I tied around as a bandana, not necessarily an ascot, but I want to show how you could put something more refined with something that is more performance athletic based, and how that contrast can kind of work. I do like the juxtaposition of the textures. You can definitely tell the difference is clear here, and of course the matching yellow sunnies. So that is it for you guys for this video, and I hope you enjoyed it and you got some inspiration and some tips and tricks that I like to use to elevate my look. Hopefully you can find some inspiration in your own closet to utilize and try out some of these techniques. And let me know what you think. Like, comment, share, subscribe, hype, do all the things. I would appreciate it. And be sure to engage and join the fashion community that we're building over here. And everything that I showed in here, I'll try to find some similar items if I can't find the exact thing that I have. But that will be in my Shop My and Like to Know It link. Most importantly, be sure to check out some of the links that I have left in the description to help support some of the people who are being affected by what's going on in the world. Be mindful and lend support where you can right now. And that is all I have for this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!